This video, we're looking at lesson 1.6, solving investment portfolio problems. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to investigate and report possible investment strategies that could be used to achieve a financial goal, analyze the strengths and weaknesses of 2 or more investment portfolios, and make recommendations for selections based on these analysis. So when I'm talking about a portfolio, it's 1 or more investment held by an individual investor or by a financial organization. And to calculate the value of a portfolio, calculate each investment separately and then add each investment together at the end. So the factors that contribute to a large return on an investment are time, interest rate, and compounding frequency. The longer that a sum of money is able to earn interest at a higher rate compounded more often, the more interest will be earned. For investments involving regular payments, the payment frequency is also a factor. And so just a reminder, when we're going through this, if you're asked to do the rate of return, you take the future value minus the amount invested to figure out what the interest earned. You divide that by the amount investment and times it by 100. So our example that we have is Phyllis started to build an investment portfolio for her retirement. She purchased a $500 Canadian savings bond at the end of each year for 10 years. The first 5 Canadian savings bonds earned a fixed rate of 4.2% compounded annually, and then the next 5 Canadian savings bonds earned a fixed rate of 4.6 compounded annually. And then she also, on top of that, had 3 years ago also purchased a 4,000 GIC that earned 6% compounded monthly. And so what we want to know was the value of Phyllis's portfolio 10 years after she started to invest. So we're going to focus on doing the Canadian savings bonds first, and then we'll do the GIC second. So what I've done is I've made this little chart to help figure out for the Canadian savings bonds, because what is happening is she's buying these Canadian savings bonds after each year. And so we actually have to calculate each of those 10 Canadian savings bonds that she purchases separately, because each one is a separate investment. And so we have year 1 to year 10. And so for the principal of each of these, it is going to be 500. Because each Canadian savings bonds was worth 500. And now for the interest, the first 5 are going to be at this 4.2, and the next 5 are going to be at the 4.6. So first 5 is 4.2%. And then the next 5 are going to be at the 4.6. And now for these, the number of times that they're compounded, so the N for the life of each of these investments. So for year 1, at the end of that year, she's going to buy the first 500. So what that means is then there's 9 years to go for this investment, and she bought it at the end of first year. So then the second one, she bought it at the end of the second year, so there's 8 years to go there. Third one is at the end of that third year, so there's 7 years to go, so on and so forth. And then for the very last one, because she bought it at the end of the 10th year, and that's as long as this portfolio is going, that last one actually doesn't earn any interest whatsoever. So now, what we need to do is we're going to go to our financial calculator, and we're going to figure out each of these Canadian savings bonds. So I'm going to move this over. Another reminder, make sure that this right side is zeros and nos. And so for these ones, I'm going to do the first one. Maybe what I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit here so we can see this better. There we go. Just make it easier to see and write. Okay, so for the first one, our principal was the 500, so each of these is going to be 500. There's no regular payments to these, it's just a lump sum of 500. So the number of cash flows for the first one is done annually, and so at the end, so it would be 9 for this one, once a year for 9 years. And then the interest was 4.2. The goal amount is the unknown. These are doing annually, so first of the month, and then the second date is going to be a year later. Oops. So 09/01/2022, and then oops, there we go. And then compounded annually, so my drop-down menus are going to be annually. So I got everything the way that it's supposed to. I'm going to hit calculate, and so it works out to be the $724.07. And then now I'll do the next one. So nice thing about doing these is, well, at least for the first 5, everything stays the same except the number of years. So like this next one's going to be 8. So I just have to hit 8, make sure that I put the unknown back in so that it replaces it, because it doesn't do that automatically. So the next one is now $694.88. And then I just keep repeating. So next one is 7 years, put in my unknown, hit calculate. So the 7th, or I guess the 3rd one that's bought at the end of it is going to be worth $668.87. Then our 4th one has 6 years that it goes. Make sure you put your unknown in, calculate. So this one is now $639.99. 5th year one, or 5th one, is 5 years that it gains interest. Put my unknown, click calculate. So the 5th year one is going to be worth $614.20. And now this is where you just got to be careful. So based on this problem, the next 5 are going to be 4.6. So I'm going to replace the interest with 4.6. And then you just keep going. So the 6th one has 4 years to go. Put my unknown in, hit calculate. So 598.54. Next one has 3 years to go. Put my unknown in, calculate. So that one is 572.22. 8th one that I bought here has 2 years to go. So replace, oops, 2, unknown, calculates 547.06. Let's see, the 9th one is 1 year to go. Hit my unknown, hit calculate, so 523. And then the very last one here, because it's bought at the end of the 10th year, it doesn't have a chance to actually earn any interest, so it's just going to be worth 500. So then to do the total for the Canadian savings bonds, you're going to take each of these and add them all together. So I got to pull out my calculator. So the first one is 724.7 cents plus 694.88 plus 666.87 plus 639.99 plus 614.20 plus 598.54 plus 572.22 plus 547.06 plus 523 plus 500 equals. So in the end, these Canadian savings bonds altogether are there we go. Sorry about that. And so in the end, it's $680.83 is what it works out to be for that one. Okay. But that is not all. So I'm going to shrink back down again for my view. Go back. Nope, too far. Other page width. Okay. So that's the Canadian savings bonds. So CSB for those. And now we need to do this GIC. And so I'm going to go to my financial calculator for that one. So 3 years ago, she also purchased a $4,000 GIC that earned 6% compounded monthly. So starting amount was 4,000 for that one. We're not doing regular payments. Number of cash flows, she did this 3 years ago, so we got 3 years, and it's earning monthly. So if it's monthly, that's 12 times in a year for 3 years. So that's 36 cash flows altogether. The interest rate is 6%. My future value is unknown. We're doing this monthly, so my dates need to be a month apart. So there'd be 10, 01, 2021. Our compounding is monthly, so I gotta switch my drop-down menus to monthly. Hit calculate. And so this one, the GIC at the end is worth $4,786.72. So to finish this off for the total for the portfolio, you take the two parts that Phyllis has. So the Canadian savings bonds, which were worth $680.83, plus the GIC that she had, so the $4,786.72. And you add those together, so I need to get my calculator. So 6,080.83 plus 4,786.72 equals, so we got $10,867.55 will be what her portfolio is at the end of the 10 years. And now for B, so it's Phyllis found a savings account that earned 4.9% compounded semi-annually. She redeemed her portfolio, invested all the money in the savings account. About how long will it take her to double her money? So they throw a bunch of information at this for part B, but it's really not important. The key is, or the key word is this about. So if we're doing about how long it will take her to double her money, we're just using the rule of 72. So we don't really care how much she actually made or anything like that. We're just going to use the rule of 72. So you take 72 divided by the interest rate of 4.9. And so 72 divided by 4.9 equals 14.69 years. And so, real world application here, so it's compounded semi-annually, so basically every half a year that this is done. So this is roughly about 14.5 years for it to double. And that ends our instructional video.